It broke off clean with the block, so I drilled a hole in it. Well, here we go, guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, as you guys seen in the previous video, we managed to get the sheet metal all mocked up and cut out to seal off the subwoofer box in the bed, and we also almost got the truck running. So our objective for today's video is to try to get this thing running finally, which I got a few ideas up my sleeve I'm going to try, and we're also going to get that bed finished up. Get that sheet metal in there, sealed up, and then once that's dry, we'll get this thing all sanded down and get the truck bed liner put in, and then we'll be done with this bad boy. So I talked to a couple people, and I had a guy telling me that this thing might not have enough fuel pressure going to it, and I figured that that didn't make much sense because it's got a brand new fuel pump, brand new fuel tank, and you can hear the fuel pump turn on just fine when you turn the key over, and it seems like there's enough pressure going up to the rail like I showed you guys when I pushed that little valve up there. There's plenty of gas up there, but he said that it could still be a possibility of not enough fuel pressure flowing up there, so I'm going to go ahead and put this new fuel filter in because I haven't changed it out yet, and then we'll see if this thing will start. I also discovered after the last video that I didn't have a fuel cap on here, and I figured maybe it wasn't getting enough pressure, so I went and got this new fuel cap, put it on. So now I just got to mount this little strap up for it, but I already tried to turn the truck over and see if it would start after it built up pressure in the tank, and that wasn't the case. So that's why we're on to today's video of trying to get it running once again. All right, guys, time to change this thing out. I don't have a wrench that fits on there, so I got to use my crescent. I'm gonna have to figure something out here. Oh my goodness, I can't get it. Oh, there we go. Finally. Wow, that sucker was tight. Oh my goodness. Okay, so since that's loose and there's fuel in the tank, I'm going to go ahead and try to pop the front one loose as well, and then we'll try to swap it out as fast as we can so no fuel gets everywhere. Well, I mean, none, but there's going to be fuel getting everywhere. We just don't want it to happen for a very long period of time. So this fuel line here is pretty easy, guys. If you don't have the tool, you just take a couple of flatheads, push both sides in, and then it'll start to come off of there. I don't want to take it off too fast because it's going to shoot fuel everywhere, so I'm trying to be real careful, but... Oh shoot, there it came. Sprayed fuel in my face, but I think I'll be all right. All right, now we just gotta swap it over as fast as we can. I'm gonna go ahead, stick it on that line, and then this is gonna suck. Because, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize it's held on to that. I gotta get that off of there. Yeah. Well, ouch. The problem is it holds all these fuel lines in. And that thing won't come off of there, so I guess that's just how it's gonna be. Okay, time for the fun part, you guys. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's all swapped out. Time to go see if it'll start. All right, guys, time to see if this thing's gonna start. Hopefully that was our problem. I don't know, doesn't seem to be the case. It's not turning over very fast, but it should start. Doesn't even sound like it's trying to fire. Huh, well, I have something else that I want to check. So this fuse right here is the one that controls the fuel injectors, and as you can see, it has power with the key on. Touch it on both sides, it has power. This over here is the plug-in that goes to the fuel injectors. And no matter where I put this test light in, it does not have power. Now, I have done a little bit of research online. I read a forum, and there was a guy that had the same issue as me. And what he said he did to fix it is he went and got himself a new computer, swapped it out, and everything worked just fine. So in the last video, when I swapped this out, because it came out of the truck that I got most of the wiring harness out of, and it made everything work properly when I turned the key on, except for the fuel injectors apparently, I have the computer out of that truck, so I'm thinking I'm probably just gonna go ahead and swap it over into here and see if it works. Come on, buddies. There we go. Alright, okay guys, before we do anything, I'm gonna see if this thing still has power after we switched over. It does there. Let's see what happens over here now. Seems like there's still no power to it. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in and try to start the truck anyway. Check it out, guys. I'm gonna put some starting fluid in this thing. I'm gonna try to get the airbox back on as fast as I can, and you guys are gonna see this thing run. And this is exactly why I feel like it's just an injector problem. I know that's a lot of starting fluid, but by the time I get this on here, some of it's gonna be evaporated. Because this thing's kind of a pain in the butt to get on the truck. Alright, start this thing. Alright guys, check this out. See, it won't stay running, not even if I try to give it gas. Ooh, it's about to start, I think. See, it wants to. Huh. Well guys, it's been about 2 weeks now since I started recording this video, and the truck still doesn't run. But what I have determined is that I think that it's just a fuel pressure issue, which is why I've got this little fuel pressure gauge right here. I'm going to hook it up here in a minute, turn the ignition on, and we're going to see how much pressure it's pushing. And the reason I've determined that is because we go over what we've done here. We got a new fuel pump. We got a new fuel filter. There we go. We know that there's fuel coming up to the fuel injector rail there because of that little valve there, which is where this hooks up to. We know it's got spark because otherwise it probably wouldn't start and try to run on starting fluid. So now, oh, and I also took the alternator off because I read on some forum that maybe it wasn't getting enough power to push everything and make the computer tell the injectors to fire right. I don't know why that would be. So what I did is I took the alternator off and I had it checked by 2 different places. The alternator's good. So now, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and hook up this fuel pressure gauge right here. And I'll leave you guys sitting right here just to watch the gauge while I go turn the ignition on. And then we'll see how much pressure it's pushing. And hopefully this is the problem. I mean, I didn't want it to be because the fuel pressure regulator, which is down underneath this intake thing right here, it's like 60 or 70 bucks brand new. And I won't be able to get it in for a couple days. It's an easy fix. It's just underneath that piece there. It's kind of hard to get to, but it's pretty simple. So let's go ahead and hook this thing up and see what it does. All right, I'm gonna go turn on the key and you guys watch and see what the pressure comes up to. Well, test number 1 was obviously a fail. I tightened this up a lot better, so let's try it again. Alright, so as you guys can see, it's not even above 40, which means that it probably needs to be the fuel pressure regulator that I need to replace. So I'm going to go to the hardware store, or the auto parts store, and I'm going to get one of those, but I believe it's going to take a day for it to come in. So for you guys, it'll just be a few seconds, but I'm gonna go get one of those, replace it, and then hopefully this bad boy will start. All right, you guys, I got that thing all changed out, so now it's time to see if this truck's gonna run finally. All right, I hope this works. I really hope this works. Oh man, my battery jumper's not giving it enough juice. Alright, hopefully this battery's got enough charge on it this time. What the heck? Alright, so the bed's all cleaned up, and as you guys can see, I had to get a little creative here with being able to wedge that piece of metal up against the sub box. That way I can get some JB weld on these spots down here and get it all secured in place. The reason I'm going to be using JB weld is because you guys know that sub box is wrapped in some fabric. I'm afraid that if I actually weld it, I might take a risk of catching the sub box on fire. So I'm just going to JB weld it, but I had to get creative because I don't have any wood. I was going to create a wedge from here to there with some wood, but I don't have any, so I just got a little bit creative with my spare parts from the Sonoma here and my jack stand over there. And as you can see over here, I just used this ball hitch right here. I wedged it in there. It worked out perfect. So I'm going to go ahead, grab my grinder, clean up some of this metal in various spots down along here. That way we can get a JB welded. After the JB weld's done and set up, I can go ahead and take the caulking that I have picked out and caulk around all these edges and get it sealed up so that there's no moisture can get in there. And once that stuff's all set up and cured out, I can get this bed scuffed up and we can get it bed lined. Okay, so I got all those little spots there ground down. Now I just gotta take this JB weld. Oh, that's cool. I didn't even know they gave me a little stick in there. I was gonna use this busted screwdriver. I might still use it anyway. But we're gonna mix this stuff up on this cardboard right here. And then we're gonna apply it to all those spots. All right, let's get this mixed up. Make sure you mix it up really good so it does its thing properly. All right, now we can start applying this stuff. Oh yeah. There we go. Try to smooth it out the best I can. Definitely gonna need to mix up more, but that's okay. I want this stuff to be really good and not fail. And obviously, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. It's gonna get covered up with a bead of caulking, and then it's gonna get covered up with some bed liner. So it doesn't have to be super pretty. Just get it somewhat smooth. All right, let me see if I can get inside that one there. All right, it's not pretty, but it's JB welded. I'm gonna let it set up, and in the morning we can get this thing scuffed up and put some Raptor liner on. Or I'm not using Raptor liner. I decided to go with just some regular bed liner. But I think it's gonna look good, guys. So see you in the morning. All right, you guys. So it's the next day here, and as you can see, the truck's not in the garage anymore. I pushed it outside because we finally got some nice weather, and I also kind of got ahead of myself before I started picking up the camera to record. So let me show you guys what's up. All right, so as you can see, I went ahead and sealed in this metal piece, and I know it doesn't look very pretty, but that's gonna be all right because we're gonna be covering it up with some bed liner anyways, so you really won't be able to tell that it's not that smooth. And as you can see there, I still gotta sand all that rust down, and I still gotta sand the bed down before we can do that bed liner. But I'm gonna let that set up a few more hours before we get started on that. But as you guys know, the truck still is not running, but I think I might have found another thing that I'm gonna try. Well, I did find another thing that I'm gonna try. I picked up a crankshaft position sensor because at this point the truck seems like it tries to fire, but it just won't. And I started doing a lot more research. I know I've already done a crap load of research on this thing, but I did more research last night. So now I'm gonna change out the crankshaft position sensor while we're waiting on that stuff back there in the bed to cure out. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this thing up on jack stands, pull the passenger wheel off. Oh crap! Yep. Whoops. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead, get this up on jack stands, pull that passenger wheel off, because that's how we're gonna access the spot where the crankshaft position sensor is at. Okay, so now that we got the wheel off and out of the way, you can see back in here, the crankshaft position sensor is right there where my light's shining on, right below those spark plug wires. So I'm going to get a socket and get that pulled off of there. We'll get it swapped out pretty quick. Pretty simple procedure. Just kind of sucks you got to get the truck up off the ground and get the wheel off, but then it makes it way simpler than trying to reach down over the top, because then you can't even see where it's at or what you're doing. So I'm gonna grab that ratchet and we'll get after it. Okay, so I don't know if it matters or not when you're doing this, but I went ahead and unhooked my battery. Now I'm just gonna go in here. I'm gonna turn the light on for you guys so you can hopefully see what's going on. I don't know if you guys can even see what's happening here, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this thing unplugged and get it removed from the block. Whoops. All right, I got it loose. It's coming out, you guys. I'm sure you probably can't see what's going on, but I'm gonna have it out here in just a minute and I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but the new one's in, and I'm telling you, it was a nightmare trying to get it out. I'm talking like it broke off clean with the block. So I drilled a hole in it with a Dremel tool because that's all I could get to fit in there. And then I screwed this screw into it. But I also had to make a really long extension for my drill, like those two, and then the third one in there to be able to reach far enough back there. And then I had to keep spraying it with some PB blaster and just yanking it back and forth a bunch of times. And it finally came out, you guys. And now the new one's finally in there. So now we're gonna try to see if this thing will start. Oh, and if you're wondering, this is what I was using to grab hold of that screw and yank that thing out of the block. So don't be scared. If you guys are doing that at home and you're having one heck of a time trying to get it out, no matter what you got, you should be able to get it out. Just have patience and keep working it. All right, it's back on the ground. Got the battery hooked up, got the battery charger on there, or the battery jumper I mean, because the battery's been kind of low here lately with trying to start it so many times. So let's see what it's gonna do, guys. And I really hope it works. I really hope it works. Here we go. I don't know, that battery charger must be dead or something, so I'm gonna hook up the other battery charger, like the actual battery charger, and see if it'll do anything with it. All right, let's try this again. Of course not. All right, this time I put some starting fluid in it to give it a little help. See, it only starts with the starting fluid still. Dang it, come on. I don't know. Maybe the throttle position sensor's bad? I don't know at this point. Yeah, I don't know, guys. It's not starting after we changed out the crankshaft position sensor there. And as you can see, it's starting to get dark on me. So I'm gonna put this thing away for the night, and then tomorrow when I get off work, we'll pick back up on finishing that bed out. All right, guys, so it's the next morning, and as you can see, I got the truck on a battery charger. I'm gonna try to get this thing started before I go to work real quick, because as some of you probably seen on the video, but I didn't even realize it, but what I had to do in order to get that crankshaft position sensor out is down there on the I believe they call them coil packs instead of a distributor on this truck, but I had to unplug two of the spark plug wires off of that coil pack, and I forgot to plug them back in. So I just plugged them in this morning. Now I'm gonna jump in there and see if that's what made this thing not want to start last night. Fingers crossed, guys. Let's hope this thing runs. All right, let's see if this thing starts. Please, Lord, let this thing start. Of course it's not going to. Of course not. Why would it, right? It freaking hates me. Whatever. I gotta go to work. Right. Okay, so I think before I go ahead and coat the bed with bed liner, I'm gonna try to get the truck running one more time because I picked up a new part for it, which I think might be, hopefully, I know I've said this several times now, but I'm hoping that this is the part that's gonna make it run. And the reason I want to hold off on bedline and anything right now is because I want to be able to flip the truck around and back it in the garage. That way a bunch of overspray is not floating through the air. So I'm gonna try to get this thing running so we can flip it around and get it in the garage. I would just push it straight in, but then it's too close to the door and then I don't have much room to work. So let's go ahead and get this part installed. All right guys, so this is what I got for the truck. I know it just says switch, but what it is it's an ignition switch for the truck. This is a switch right here, which is what hooks up to your key turning. So this is what we're going to install today. Hopefully this right here, according to some more research that I've done, is going to be exactly what's wrong with the truck. Should only take about 30 minutes to install, so I'm going to go ahead and get the steering column cover pulled apart, because that's what I got to do, and then we can get this bad boy thrown in the truck.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Get that out of the way. Number two. Now this thing should just go straight off.
Okay, and just like that, that cover's out of the way. To be able to get it all the way out, but you're supposed to be able to push on them both at the same time, but as you just seen, if you work them side by side, you can get it out just like that. And there we go. Now it's time to put the new one in. All right guys, so I'm gonna get this thing installed in the truck real quick. You guys see how it came out. You basically know how it goes back in. So I'm not gonna show you guys me throwing it back in there. I'm just gonna get it done, and then we'll pick back up where I'm trying to start the truck. So real quick before we install this new one back in, one thing that you guys have to make sure you do when you put the new one in is you have to make sure the new one is set exactly where the old one came out at. So you see where that thing's set at? This one is obviously not. So I'm gonna go ahead and click it over to the spot where it needs to be. It's hard to do with one hand, but there it is. That one right there, that one right there, they're the same. So now we can get it installed. All right, new switch is installed. Before we go ahead and put everything back together, I'm gonna see if it starts. Because if not, I'm gonna take it out and see if maybe O'Reilly's might let me return it, because it's almost 100 bucks. So far so good. Oh man, I guess I didn't give the battery charger enough time. Come back. All right, I think I gave it enough time to charge up this time, so let's try this again. See, it just doesn't want to start. I don't know what the deal is. Let's give it a little bit of gas. Ah man, I don't think that fixed our problem, guys. Well, I think these two parts here are pretty much my last two options to try to get this truck started in my driveway, you guys. This here is a camshaft position sensor. We just replaced the crankshaft position sensor. So this one's going to be pretty similar. We just got to unplug it, unbolt it, and pull it out of the side of the block, and then stick this new one back in there. And this here, this is a idle air control valve. This guy here is really simple. It's up here on the top of the engine, right there. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to unplug this, and we just got to unscrew this thing. I think it's just a couple of Torx bits, yeah, one on either side there. You can see that one there. There's one over here. Just undo those and pull it right out, and we'll stick the new one in. So I'm gonna get that done real quick, and then I'll throw that camshaft sensor in, which I got to get the truck back up on jacks and pull that wheel back off in order to do that. But I'm gonna go ahead and do that part off camera. All right, for those of you wondering, this thing is a T20. All right, now that that's changed out, I'm gonna get that camshaft sensor changed. I'll get back with you guys as soon as this battery's charged up enough that we can crank this truck over again. All right, I just wanted to show you guys real quick, for those of you that are wondering, that right there, it was the crankshaft sensor. This one up here is the camshaft sensor I'm fixing to replace. I'm almost done with this, you guys. Just gotta tighten it up with the ratchet, plug it in, and we'll be good to go. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna hook that battery charger up, let it do its thing for a minute, and we'll see if this baby will run. And we get that tire back on too in the meantime. All right, guys, let's hope this thing finally runs. What the crap? I just had the charger on it for like 15 minutes. It's not even turning over very well. He's about to leave it on there for a lot longer. Okay, here we go again. Well, dang. Apparently that's not what the problem was. Once again, I'm even giving it some gas. What the crap? I don't know, guys. I'm about to just be done with this thing. Well, here we go, guys. Sonoma's off to the doctor. Hopefully we can get it fixed. Fingers crossed, guys. Hopefully we get this thing back in running condition. I don't like doing this, but the time has come where I can't figure it out anymore. You know, the Sonoma might be going to another shop to get fixed, but seriously though, check out the paint job on this Sunrise in Kansas here, you guys. I mean, dang. This truck looks so good. I hope we get it back running. I'm ready to drive it. Get some nice, good photos of it outside of this driveway. Well, guys, it's a couple days later now, and as you can see behind me here, the Sonoma's back from the mechanic shop, and it still isn't running. They couldn't even figure out what's wrong with it. But what they did figure out is that what's going on is the fuel injectors don't have any pulse to them. So now I'm left figuring out why that is, because they couldn't figure it out themselves. They told me that they didn't have enough time. They had to move on to other things. So now it's back to me. So I guess that leaves me going back to the drawing board, trying to figure out what to do next. So hopefully next time you guys see the truck on the channel, it'll be me figuring out exactly what's wrong with it and it'll run. But thank you guys so much for stopping in. If you enjoyed today's content, smash that like button. Leave your thoughts and comments down below as to what your thoughts are on what it might be wrong, as to why it doesn't have the injectors pulsating like it should. But other than that, don't forget to subscribe on your way out. And just like that, you guys, we'll catch you all in the next one.